I know some Saints fans are really worried about seeing both Drew Brees and Michael Thomas on the injury report on Wednesday. Today, a little bit of good news and a little bit of clarity of why both of those guys were on the injury report. For Drew Brees, he was limited on Wednesday. Today, he was a full participant. He said that he actually had some inflammation in his knee, and he actually had it Saturday before the Titans game. Apparently, it kind of worked itself out. He was able to play in that game, no issues. And Sean Payton said today that they had to put Drew Brees on the injury report in case they had to put a brace or a sleeve on that knee. So he's a full participant on Thursday's injury report. Barring any setbacks, he should be good to go for the season finale in Charlotte against the Carolina Panthers. As for Michael Thomas, he was limited for the second straight day with a hand injury. We don't know the status really of he's going to be able to play. He did participate in a limited fashion, which means that he was able to take part in some of those practices, but not take part in a full practice. We'll see what his injury designation is for on the final injury report on Friday. If you're looking at the scenarios of what the Saints need to do to get that number one seed in the NFC, it's pretty simple. First off, they have to take care of business against the Panthers. Remember that these two teams also met last year in Week 17. At that point, the Saints are already wrapped up the number one seed, but they didn't play really well against the Panthers as Carolina came into the Superdome with Kyle Allen starting in his first career game. Had a really good game and ended up beating the Saints. New Orleans has been talking about this in the locker room when we had availability today. They played so poorly in last year's game. Most of those guys remember how they played. They don't want to have the same type of performance in Week 17, so they want to have a better performance. And more importantly, they are playing for something this year, which is that number one seed. So if they can knock off the Panthers, and then at that point, they're going to have two things happen. Green Bay has to lose against Detroit. They're at Detroit. And they have to have the San Francisco 49ers lose at Seattle. If that happens, they're going to be the number one seed going to the playoffs, which means home field throughout the NFC playoffs and at least two games in the Superdome. If they don't get that number one seed, they still have an opportunity to win the number two seed. Again, they have to beat the Panthers, and either Green Bay or San Francisco has to lose. Now, if the Saints somehow lose to the Panthers, or all three teams, the Saints, Packers, and 49ers win, then that means that the Saints will be the 3 seed going into the playoffs, which means they'll host the wild card game, have to go on the road for the divisional round, and then maybe see if they get to host that NFC Championship game or go on the road for that. So a lot at stake on Sunday. And again, we'll look at the final injury report on Friday. Most importantly, we'll see how it all shakes out Sunday to see what seed the Saints are going to be heading into the playoffs.